Hi, Sriram. Good morning.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. How are you?
Good. Good. How are you?
I'm doing fine. How are you?
Okay. Let me share the screen.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, in the last class, we looked at JavaScript object notation, and we did this currency conversion example. Okay. In this class, we will be taking the topic REST API. Okay. And we will see introduction to API, REST APIs, okay, and testing a weather API with Postman and introduction to no-code API. So this the coverage for this topic, okay, in this session, okay. Uh, Now, so far with JSON, you are clear. You're able to understand the JSON format of data and all that.
Uh, could you give me a quick recap or summary about it once?
Uh-huh. Because our last session we did, let me just, okay, I will go in here. We saw what is JavaScript object notation. Okay, it's data transferred between two systems in a format, in a simple text file format with key and value pairs. Okay, like this. For an example, we have a JSON file which has got keys here, colon and value. Okay, and in a JSON file, it could it looks like a dictionary, and it also has a list inside the dictionary. It could have nested dictionaries. So, okay, so this is an example of a JSON file. And we have JSON module, which is used to import data, store.json. This statement JSON.load loads a JSON file into a Python dictionary. Okay, and you can access the keys, the values of the keys like so, like data and store bicycle price will give the price of bicycle. Okay, and then the process of loading data into the Python dictionary is called JSON serialization. Okay, the other way from the Python dictionary into um, the string, where the data can be transferred from one system to another. Like we looked at the example of a student school system where data is student data transferred from the school system to a healthcare system. So the data transfers between two systems in JSON format. And when you're doing so from one system to another, you have to serialize, and it's called JSON serialization. So here JSON.dumps writing from the dictionary inside Python to a string. Okay, so that's JSON serialization. Uh, so here is a schematic of that. When you have a JSON file, you can do load data into the Python dictionary and it dump to a JSON file with the dump method. From a Python dictionary, you can do dumps to a string, and that string is sent across to the other system. Similarly, at the other end, when the string is received, you load the data into a Python dictionary with loads. Okay, so these are the methods. Whenever it is yes, it is operating a string. Okay, when it's not without the yes, it is just a file. Okay, so file to Python dictionary and Python dictionary to string. And then we looked at this currency conversion program where we have data in an endpoint, meaning it's an external system where you can access the data with the URL, and we have this URL lib.request. We've used this module to import the currency rates and to read the currency rates and into a Python dictionary. Okay, here we're loading into, we're receiving a string, and that data is loaded into a Python dictionary object, and we are reading the rates, looping through each rate to print it out. Okay, so that's what we have seen, and we saw other examples. Where we're reading data from a sample data file, sample JSON data file. Um, hmm, okay, so in this notebook, we saw the example of reading a JSON file, sample.json. We're using this with open syntax to open the JSON file, and once you open this handle, we are using the JSON module, json.load, to load the file into a Python dictionary. All here, we have this data object, which is the dictionary. Okay, and once it is loaded, we just printing it out in this method. Okay, for k comma v in data.items, print k comma v. It's going to print what is inside as key and value pairs. So that's how we get this out. Next, for writing a dictionary to a JSON file, so from inside a Python environment, we have a Python dictionary writing externally to a file. So we saw this example. Uh, uh, this is a string, and from inside this Python dictionary, you have to write it out. So you have the write method, write option for with open file name. So we are opening a file name person.json with the write option, and so it will write with this file handle. So json.dump writes to a file. So we are writing this dictionary to the file handle, so it will create a new file called person.json, write all these contents into that JSON file. Next up, we have for reading a JSON string. So we are receiving a JSON string. Okay, so from that we use the load s method to load the Python string into a dictionary object. Here the dictionary is person underscore dict equal to json.load s the person. So the person string is what we are receiving. Okay, and from there we're loading into person dictionary. And once it's in the dictionary, we are reading a value, like the key here is languages and name. So we're reading the value, and this dictionary of languages will give you this data. So the dictionary is the JSON string is this string. Okay, so this is how data is serialized and transferred from one system to another. We are just taking one example like that. So finally, you are printing what we received for languages. Next, for writing a dictionary to a JSON string, so we have this json.dump s. Okay, so json.dump s or dumps. So we have a dictionary object here, okay, and that dictionary object is written to a string with this JSON.dumps, and we pass the dictionary employee dictionary, and thereby we are printing the string emp JSON. Okay, so this is a string and it prints this whole string out. So this is how we write out a string which gets sent across the web into the other system. Okay, the receiving system will receive. So if you want to create your own data and send it across, the data will finally get sent like a string. Okay, so so next one, this is that example of store where we printed a bicycle price. So the store.json has multiple levels, and once we load the file into the Python dictionary, here we are using this loop to step into that dictionary object, dictionary.store square bracket book. Okay, and at the inner level we are reading the key, which is author, and we get the output all the author name. Okay, so book, store, and here we are listing author. In this one we are listing store bicycle price. It will pull up the value. So you can use a dictionary and go to multiple level of the keys to fetch its value, innermost value. And here in this case, in that same dictionary, we have store and book, and this will give you an innermost nested dictionary of author. Now, author of the key will give you the values of each author. Okay, we're looping and showing there are two authors inside that dictionary. And finally, we saw the currency conversion, load currency rates from a Forex website. So here we took a website like that, data.fixer.io, and we shortened that with this bit.ly, okay, and using this import package, import URL lib.request, we are we using this method URL open to open a URL and then read dot decode. So this is a syntax here. So it reads the value which is coming as a string from that call, from that. Now this is an API call. Okay, this is an API call, right? The whole URL is an API call, and when the data comes back, it comes like a JSON string. Okay, and using this URL lib request URL open, pass the URL, it will return the value here to the data. So when it returns that string, we are using JSON.loads or loads to this data. Okay, I mean, with the value what is returned as a string to the object which is Python dictionary. Now that once we receive, we have an outermost key which is rates. So dictionary of the rates will give you the inner nested dictionary here. The inner nested dictionary we are looping through for rate in rates. Okay, so this is rate in rates, and then each value the rate is fetched like this. Rates of rate will give you the value, and the actual rate is this key, which is the inner nested dictionary. The inner nested dictionary has currency rate, currency code, and the rate. So which we are printing out like this for each rates. Okay, so this is what we did. Okay. Any questions? Anything not clear?
No, it's clear. Thank you.
Okay. If it gets a little overwhelming, please feel free to stop me. Or if you need additional clarification, if you did not understand, feel free to stop me. Okay. Now, in this session, what we look at is the REST API. Okay, like what we have done for the currency rate, we gave a call and we have received a string. Okay, so an API is doing that job. Okay, we'll look into that details here. Okay, there is some concepts. I will go through the concepts and I'll show the example of how you use a specific API. In the last session, I gave you one hands-on to be continued. Yeah, I don't know whether you had the time, but let's look at what is to be done there also. Okay, we'll go through that exercise as well. Okay, so shall we move on?
Yes.
Okay, so in this session, it's about APIs. The topic is also about integration and testing. Okay, so these are going to be covered. We will look at hub, ETL, and all other things. Okay, not a problem. So, agenda for today's session: introduction to APIs. We look what is SOAP. Okay, REST APIs, testing an API with a tool called Postman, no code and integration. These are no code is a tool as well. Integration, we'll go into some example cases. Okay. Now, what is an API? An API is an endpoint. Okay, endpoint of an application through which data interchange takes place. Meaning over the web, when you have to share data uh, until 2000, year 2000, so we had most of the messages sent across as a payload attached. That means you will have some attached messages sent across to the other application. Whereas an API sends this data not as messages, but as some sort of a string, okay, as a JSON string. That's why it's important to understand what JSON was. We saw in the last example. We've done a recap also. Now, API stands for Application Programming Interface. Okay, Application Programming Interface, which is simply your application over the web. Okay, it's your application over the web. Suppose you created an application and you want the other users to use this application, you will have a URL, okay, or an endpoint. An URL is Uniform Resource Locator, which is just like a website, okay, and that website, like what we saw in the currency rates example, when the user calls it, okay, typically you will use a browser for this URL and call, okay. That means in the browser URL address, uh, you will put that and you will invoke a call, which will go um, as a request, HTTP request, and pull the data from the other system over the web. Okay, so an API allows you to access data or interchange, uh, allows for data interchange through the web. Okay, and the term used for it is called that URL, and the common term with APIs is called endpoint, endpoint of an application. Typically, it's like there is an application and you're given a handle to access that application through an entry point, an endpoint. Okay. Now, we'll look at specifics of how that endpoint looks. Okay. But generally speaking, this is what an API is. Okay. We have that application can do various things. It could be your function. It could be like what we saw in the last class, an example of a weather. Okay, your there could be different endpoints inside that that website. There is an open weather API. They could be having weather of a city, weather of a latitude, longitude. You could have other forecasts and all that. So they are providing various endpoints. Okay, there could be more than one API inside an application. Okay, now SOAP here, SOAP is simple object access protocol. Okay, so around the origin of this data transfer, we have a protocol called simple object access protocol, which is SOAP. Okay, shortly the acronym is called SOAP, and it has messages enclosed in a certain format. So what we saw with JSON is JSON strings are key value pairs. But prior to JSON, before JSON or around 2000, so when data had to be changed, data had the SOAP envelopes. SOAP envelope, which had a SOAP header and a body. Okay, so SOAP header and a body, and SOAP was more rigid to changes. Okay, SOAP header and body. So here is how, sorry, this mode is here. SOAP uses XML schemas and remote procedure calls. So this is a little bit of how um, the technology evolved. Okay, when it evolved, it started with SOAP messages, and SOAP messages are constructed up to 4 blocks. So there is a format of that message interchange. Like in an email, you will attach some, let's say you attached a text file and send that message. You attach a Word document. So here, the messages going across were having a standard format. So the SOAP protocol has a format. SOAP envelope, SOAP header, body, some fault like that. So this was the structure of a SOAP message. An example of it we will come to. Okay, so SOAP messages are considered constructed with 4 blocks like this, and web services description language. It's an XML format that describes how to call data over the web. Okay, so web service is another name for the SOAP-based API. Okay, when that application, the weather application is giving you the service of checking weather for a city, we call it a web service. Another name for these APIs is also called as web service, right? Because you're giving a service over the web. And web service description language evolved. So web service description language means it had an XML format of a message. XML stands for extensible markup language. Okay, and even XML is one standard across the web to send data. Okay, so SOAP, the earlier protocol, uses XML schemas. Okay, XML schemas and remote procedure calls. Okay, to do data transfer. This structure of doing data transfer was how data transfer evolved. Okay, so SOAP standard, SOAP protocol evolved. So how did that message look like? Now, if you understand, you may not have seen XML, but XML is just data. Okay, so like we have HTML, right? You have HTML, which has HTML tags, but when you have to represent data, it has uh, tags for the data and the value. So look, this is an XML. Okay, user ID. Okay, as a value. So this means if you look at this is an XML data. Okay, they are enclosed by tags. Okay, it will be like name and the name and the tag ends here. Okay, we see this is in XML, and when you have the data that is wrapped in a SOAP envelope, SOAP message. So this is how a SOAP request message looks like. So the applications allowed to take a SOAP request to invoke, and uh, so here this, what are we invoking? We are invoking a get user uh, method or a get user function. So what is happening here is you're giving the user ID and asking for some detail of the user. Here is what returns user name Tony Star. Okay, so SOAP envelopes uh, this is a SOAP request and a SOAP response. Okay, having a format of SOAP envelope which adds header, a body, and some error and all that. So here error is optional, but this is how a SOAP message look like. And what is this? This is called an XML. Okay, where you only are representing a data. This is a language called extensible markup language. We are just showing an example. We will not go into details further because XML used to be the way data was transferred, and even SOAP today uses this format. Okay, but what are the problems with this? Okay, there are we data SOAP uses XML schemas and remote procedure calls. So there is no when you had to make any modification, it used to be more difficult, and the payload used to be complex to understand and all that. So if you see, that led to an evolution of a REST API. Okay, so until some time it was SOAP messages, but then on, after a while, the web adapted to what's called REST API. So you'll hear this REST API in many places. What is the difference? Okay, here there is no bulky messages like the XML messages like this sent across. I'll show you. Here is the application. Here is your REST API. Okay. Here is your web server. Okay. And here is the client. Okay. So think of the weather service. So that is an application which is through a client or a browser, you're accessing the application's endpoint, which is on a web server. So the REST API, okay, take one server on which your application is deployed, and that server is giving an endpoint called a REST API. Okay, and API is application program interface, which is an entry point. So what happens is the client through the browser to access this application makes a HTTP request and gets a HTTP response. So while making this request, it does a get method. So it means get data, like get user, right? And then the API, in case of a REST API, returns a JSON. Okay, like whatever examples we saw, the pizza order, or in this case, you have a student information, okay, name, something, student ID. So what returns is not an XML message, it's a JSON message. So that was the difference. Okay, so with REST API, you get a JSON string message. So this whole thing is coming back from this API call as a string, much like we saw the currency um, rates come back as a JSON string. So are you able to follow this? It is new to
Yes,
you, right? Okay. Uh, but Yeah, JSON is what it returns, and we saw one example, right? You can hold on to that understanding. Okay. Okay, Sriram. Okay. REST API. So what does REST stand for? Representational state transfer. Okay, REST stands for hold on. REST stands for representational state transfer. Okay, it's just an acronym, not to get scared about it. But what is this? State means data. Okay, so we are doing a data transfer. Okay, so REST means it's representational state transfer. REST follows, REST is resource based like URI, JSON, like that. So REST is resource based with URIs, that means an endpoint, okay, like the currency data fixer endpoint, and JSON, okay. It can have XML, HTML as well. Okay, so REST is resource based. Resource state is transferred between client and server. So the state here, the term state means data. Okay, so resource state is transferred between client and server, between the server and the client. Client is on a browser. Okay, this follows REST specification rules. Okay, of I mean, REST was first discovered by this professor Roy Fielding in his PhD thesis. Okay, so he formulated the REST philosophy, the REST standard, and what's currently used as REST API. Okay, so he laid down some rules. There are some 6 rules, 5 rules here, which form the REST. Um, Whenever you call an API as RESTful, it has certain uh, theory, basic thesis. What is written here is uh, it is state. Okay, first you have to understand what stateful versus stateless. Okay, we're going a little deep, but just bear with me. So stateless means server does not retain the client data. Stateful means client does not have a direct connection uh, with the server. Okay, so a little bit of the concept. Basically, the client is the browser and the server is your web server. They're not uh, always connected. Okay, so uh, stateful means the client doesn't have a direct connect with the server. Only when the request comes into play, the connection is active, and rest of the time the connection is not active. Okay, so then RESTful services are layered and transparency in software, middleware, and hardware. That means they have multiple layers. Okay, and there is transparency in software, middleware, and hardware. Okay, so these are some topics which has to be called as for a service to be called as a RESTful service. REST services are cacheable and scalable. Cacheable means um, when the data comes one time, the data is cached in your client. Okay, the next time up to the certain duration of uh, the time, it is going to be retained in the cache. So cache means temporary data. Okay, cacheable. So REST service are cacheable means data is cacheable. It's not like you don't store that data. The browser has capability to store data up to 5 MB or something like that. Okay, so REST services are cacheable. Okay, and you might have come across cookies, right? So that cookie is going to identify the next time you go back to the server. Okay. So have you come across the anytime like when you go to website, it's first throwing an option that accept cookies, right? Uh, have you encountered that?
Yes.
So what is happening, we will see a little later, but basically that cookie is giving you an identifier for your connection to the server. Okay. And it's a way the server is going to validate you. Okay. So the cacheable here means basically some data will sit at the client. Okay. And scalable, of course, scalable means you can build up to a larger scale. Okay. Now, RESTful services are stateless, stateless, and uses token or client and access keys. These are some deeper topics, but basically, I talked about cookies, and in the last class, I said, hey, this is my access key. So the access key is just your, uh, when you use this URL or the API call, you have to log into some services. We have to log into, let's say, the remote application or at the web server, you have the weather application. Okay. So the access key is a single key which instead of giving your username password as a login, it is generated that ID and it will be added to the URL. Okay, so we saw that in the example. So here we are. I'll go back here. So this is the URL endpoint. Okay, but you see the access key. I mean, there is a question mark here, and this is the parameters which pass through the URL. So access underscore key is equal to some key. Okay. Now what's happening here is this access key is your equivalent of going and logging in. Okay. Typically, if you, let's say you came into Gmail, you will go to a page and you will say, here is my username password, right? And you're typing into two text boxes. One is the username, and then you're tabbing in, giving a password. Instead of doing that every time, the server allows you to take this URL password and generate a key, which is the access key. Now, this access key is sent as a parameter. That's why it's question mark and parameter. Key, access key equal to something, right? So this format is appended to the URL or the API. So when you call this URL completely, it'll automatically log in for you. Okay, you don't have to go and give the username password. So that's the access keys role here. Okay, so what we are saying here is the client RESTful service is stateless, meaning stateless means does not retain client data. Okay, does not have an active connection, and RESTful services uses access keys, token or client. I mean, tokens are some other deeper concept. We'll go there, but at the first level, user is asked to give an access key here. Okay, so these are how RESTful services are. Okay, so take this example, a weather API from openweathermap.org. We have APIs like recipe API. We looked at it very briefly from Edamap. Okay, and no code API. So we have Open Weather Map API. In the last class, we went there. So let's see. Okay, here is openweathermap.org/API. If you go to that URL, it will take you to a page like this. Okay, so this is a service provided by somebody. Okay, so here you are asked to do a sign on. A sign in is the first time you are is a way he retains with the username password. So once you go to sign in, you will generate the access keys, okay, which you can later use in this API call so that you can call the URL alone, okay, call the URL alone like this. We call the URL alone with the access key and it will give you data. You don't have to log in. Of course, this access key is very unique. It's like your own login, not to be shared with anybody. Okay. So, and then, of course, URL-request just did the job of instead of opening a browser and going there on in a Python code, it just URL request dot open, pass the URL, it'll get you the data. So this whole thing here is like opening a browser, passing the URL, logging in, like this access key, and then getting the data. Okay. In this case, the currency data at that point of time. Okay. So at that point of time. And so let's get back here. So we were here, weather API. So when you go there, there are several APIs here. So current data, weather data, okay, hourly forecast for 4 days. So each of the API you can see you have an API documentation. There's a brief write-up here, and there is a subscribe. So some of these APIs uh, are a paid subscription, okay, while up to a certain number of calls, because in a given day, if you are taking this and building it in your software, they will allow you for the developer free number of calls, okay, up to a certain 1,000 messages like that, 1,000 calls, something. Beyond that, you are charged, okay. And here is a description, whatever is there. Okay, so we will go there. So this is Open Weather Map API. Next one is a recipe search API. We saw this Edamam is a website. This is a service provided to basically for nutritional data and recipe and all that. So here they have a developer-based access, which is free for monthly access, and for enterprise some charges and all that. Most of them have a subscription model like this. Okay, so there's so with that Edamam, you can do what? You can build your own application where here is your application having a search box, okay, and here's a search recipe. So if I type in banana there and click search, it will return the data in JSON, and then you're going to write it in your search result like this. Top banana recipes, banana smoothie, gluten-free banana pancake, this data, the ingredients data, the calories data, the image, all this came in that as a JSON, and we have just put it into our application. So this is a recipe search API application you can develop. Okay, so this uses the API. Now, let's go there briefly, or okay, we'll come to the real session one time. Let's continue here. There is a tool called Postman. Okay, what this tool is, if you ever have any API and you want to test it, then Postman is a tool to test simply any endpoint API. Okay, so how you do that is go to postman.com and then you'll see this button launch Postman, and then you'll be taken, of course, you'll have to create a login and all that. it'll be taken into the Postman's application like this. Okay, and bear with me, just Postman client application. You will have to create some workspace and client and all that. This completely Postman is on the web to test an API. Okay, Postman has been traditionally used to test an API. So what are we testing here? To see get weather in Sydney with this openweathermap.org. So openweathermap.org was the last screen here. This one, openweathermap.org. Here we go in, created the access key, and you want to use this service to use and test that API. We are into Postman client tab. Okay, that means on the web. So this is the URL. This is your API call. Okay, so look at this URI or the URL as it's called, api.openweathermap.org/data/2.5/weather. And then whenever you see this question mark, there are parameters following. Okay, so question mark, and then there is a key and a value. Okay, the key and a value. See, the key in the first parameter is Q. Okay, Q standing short for query. Q equal to Sydney. Okay, Q equal to Sydney. That means I'm interested to find the weather of Sydney. Okay, so that's how the parameter is key and a value. In this case, Q equal to Sydney, like that. And what is my second parameter? You always have to add, so that is this ampersand, append ampersand app ID equal to the access key. So this is the way the access key is going. This is the way the access. So this entire thing is your API call. Okay. So what we are doing there is, once you log in, of course, the workspace and all is some work area for the developer. Developer to test this API goes here, navigate to workspace, paste this complete URI, URL here. Okay, URL here, and then see that, and then it will come up with these options, get put like that. So when you paste this URI, URL, this particular get shows up with that particular URL pasted. Okay, and the parameters you passed here, Q equal to Sydney, app ID, all that show up here as keys and values. Keys and values. Okay, see here, the same value got in here, Q equal to Sydney, app ID is something. So what it allows you to do is, you have this value Sydney, and you click on send. Okay, so when you do send, the get is fired here. The get operation happens. Okay, when you do the get, this HTTP request goes across here. So from here, the request is going across to the web server. That is Open Weather Map API server. The API server receives, oh, this is the call, and the HTTP response is built up and sent back to the client. Is this clear? So we have the HTTP request, endpoint request, and then the data going back is a JSON. So when you come back to Postman, the data received is here. You will have this coordinate lat long, what you see below is the weather data you receive. Okay, it's the pretty, means it's made to look like a formatted, clean. And what is returned is a JSON. Okay, and the status of that call, what time it took, all that. So then what you can do is, you can test. Now we can pass another city, New York, and hit send, it'll get the weather JSON of New York. So this level of testing the endpoint API is what Postman allows you to do. Okay. Are you with me so far? Okay. We will we'll move on. Okay, no code API. So no code is another website which has various endpoint testing. Okay, Postman allows you. It's been used as a common API development platform. Okay, our other tools have also come in. Okay, similarly, it's called no code. Basically, you connect with a login to no code, and then they have all the endpoints already uh, already accessible. Okay, this is Twitter, Telegram, Instagram, whatever, YouTube, Spotify. Okay, Spotify. Um, so many other endpoints. This GitHub. All this is readily available. Okay, that means you don't have to look, paste, cut, paste, because here the URL you'll have to build and put it as space here. There you have a connection. Suppose you have a Spotify account and you logged in there to no code, you can connect to that account and all the APIs from Spotify will be available readily. So this is one such website, no code API. There are other ones. So, okay, but here let's go into no code API. The moment you go in, it has an interface where you have this various get standing for all that API. So you have one currency endpoint, currency exchange service. If you go into it, all the endpoints, currency conversion, get symbols, get rates, all of that is readily available. Okay, so you might be prompted to that service. This URL, you don't need to remember anything. It will click here, this will automatically come into it, and the buttons are readily there. The parameters will come in here automatically for that endpoint. So here it's a currency conversion. Basically, you convert one currency to another currency. So the from currency, the to currency, and the amount is here. And all this you are just going to test by clicking. So the whole advantage here is the ease of testing that endpoint, that you don't have to go about generating anything. It's already pre-generated for you. And if you just see the result, see the endpoint is going to return our same currency rates like this. Okay. So the response and the code snippet here standing for how you write the Python code for it. Okay, so if you see, this code is readily available. So that's why they have it as no code. You click copy the code, this copy of the code, you can write it into your application. Okay, this is the way you test, and then final code is ready. You can take that code. So you don't have to remember anything how to code at all. It's all ready. So likewise, they got it covered for all the different endpoints like Telegram, Spotify, YouTube, so on. Okay. So that's the manner in which, suppose you have to quickly connect to different application, they have this service. Okay. Let's see. Okay, now let's go in for some. What's happening? It's taking some time. We going for some hands-on. Okay. Yeah, before we proceed further, this is another. There are several such applications. We'll park before we proceed further. Okay. One moment, because a little bit of hands-on would help. Going to open weathermap.org. A little bit of hands-on, and then I'm going to give you a break. Okay, a short break. Yeah. So you can also type open weathermap.org. Yeah, open the browser and go into this URL. Now what we're going to do, we're going to get to this page, open weathermap.org. Are able to get to your page there? It's taking some time here for me.
I was able to get to the page where it says current weather data, hourly forecast, 4 days,
Okay,
daily forecast.
okay, excellent. So let's, no, you can share your screen.
Okay.
Let me stop the share. Yeah, so just sign in there. I mean, let me see the weather forecast. Uh, I think this might ask you for a subscription. Keep in mind it's free for a certain number of users. You don't have to. Close this. Yeah, basically I have to close some things here and it's taking some time.
Yeah, it seems to
Let me,
be lagging a little bit.
because I opened few slides together.
Yep, yeah.
At your end, you may go create a login. Okay,
Okay.
like uh, it might allow with the Google ID. Now it's going into sign in here. Open weathermap.org. Where did you create a login there for yourself?
No, I haven't signed up yet. No.
Okay, so you can follow up here. I will show you. Okay, under the products, they they have various services. Okay. Mm, Most often they will describe the APIs and in greater detail. Okay, so let's see. Sign on. Okay, let's see what we can do. Hmm, Let's go to this exercise. Quiz exercise. I'll use this URL, so it might. Let's see how, because I said that's the URL, it'll. Okay, so this key, so it's the ID which is the key. So, probably it has exceeded the number of tries and all that. Hmm. When will it happen? Okay. So this, when you go to openweathermap.org/API, it will get to this page. Okay. And here, one call like this, a description is given. Current weather data as API docs. If you click there, so how to make this call is giving description on. Okay, the parameters here in this case it's latitude, longitude. Okay, and then you append the API key like that. Mm, see, an example is given. Of course, API key is important. So all description about the APIs available, how the result is, the resulting JSON looks like this. Okay, the resulting JSON looks like this. So a documentation of all the APIs is there. What is passed, what is returned, when it is when it's returned, what is the meaning, wind speed, in what units. So is it their own service. And the one which we saw earlier was the JSON. This is the XML format. See, in XML, you'll see country IT stands for Italy, like that. So XML is tags like this and the data in the middle. Okay, time zone like that. Okay, so that's the XML format. So similarly for other APIs. So there is more than one APIs here. Okay. See, weather, city, like this. So all this requires an API key. Hmm. This API key is required, but hold on. This key is not working. Okay. So for some reason the key is not there. No issues. We can create something newly. Uh, Current weather API. Let's see. Enter email and password. I'll go create an account. Okay. So username, something we give like that. Okay. Enter an email. Let me see. Like that. Okay, password. Like that. Uh, okay. Okay, I've just gone to create an account. Oh, I didn't choose the captcha. Captcha. Okay. Use strong password. Okay. Okay, it's asking for CAPTCHA. We select the cars. Okay, these are cars. Looks like cars. Okay, create an account. What's happening? Ah, it's already taken my account. So I'll just give forget password. It already got my ID. Okay. I'm going to pause the share one moment. It's recording. Yeah, are you able to see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, all I've done is just logged in. Okay, when you log in on this at this right corner, you will see my API keys. So that's the API key. Okay, and often the first time you can click generate. Now, since it is already there, you can regenerate every time. Okay. So keys are not supposed to be shared, but this is okay. And if your key is changed, you can go regenerate so that another person doesn't uh, use the same key. But this is the key, okay? API keys, okay? And they have some billing plans. The first one is the base developer plan is always free. Okay, developer up to 3,000 minutes. Uh, some pricing is given, but there's always a free plan. Okay, uh, so it's that way. Okay, API keys. So wait. Okay. Um, so that's the first thing when you go fetch the key. Now, uh, now the key is available. So then I go back here. Okay, pick this is equal to the key. Okay, so equal to the key like that. So this part is all ready, but whether is this one, let's see. So we just taken it and enter. You got a coordinate. So now you do pretty print. This coordinates are going to show up like this. So the JSON which came back has this checkbox called pretty print. So this is the string which came back, JSON. Okay. The moment you choose this pretty print, it goes in a formatted, readable manner. Other options are there. We have some tools which I'll come to, okay, which can allow formatting the JSON properly. Okay. These are some tools which can allow you to read this JSON because it comes like this, and whatever came from that service to read it, okay, you can use this online editor. Okay, online editors, formatters, and all that. So we come to this after a while, but for now it is pretty print, and so it's looking prettier. Okay, weather main clean means clear skies in this coordinates, and it's the city name is Sydney, time zone. What else we got? Main. Okay, inside of main, your temperature is in Fahrenheit. I think feels like whatever, like pressure, humidity, wind speed. All this data is available. Okay, so this is our value which is returned. So yeah, I just made a API call for a city. Okay. Now what I'll do, you can try at your end. Yeah, use my key. It's not a problem. Uh, Choose that. Yeah, you got the output. So in that, yeah, choose pretty print. There you go. So you got the same. So this is how you make a URL, I mean API call after you create the access key and those query parameters are there. Now let's do one thing. Just give me a moment. Okay, so this is with Sydney. I think you can try other cities like that. Okay. Uh, so this JSON, uh, yeah, Q equal to Sydney, you will change to, let's say, New York. Suppose each city, one data different. City not found. Ah, pardon me. I will paste another URL in the chat. Let's get to the chat. Where is the chat? Okay, onto the chat. Instead of Sydney, just give New York. Yeah, you got it. Okay. So if you see the URL carefully in the chat, the space which you gave when the URL is rebuilt, it goes with %20. %20 in the API call. Okay. So as a blank white space is %20. Okay. So when it returns, okay, or this can be called. Okay, that's the current wind speed and all that. So this is one. Now let's go to Postman. Okay. Um, Type in your URL postman.org. Postman, postman, postman.org. Sorry, postman.com. It's not org. Postman.com. Pardon me. Postman.com. Yeah. Again, this requires a sign up. Okay, I just close these things. Sign up for free. Product pricing. I think it allows me to go in with the Google ID. I just go in with the Google ID. So I come out of webpostman.co/home. Have you got it? Have you gone with your Gmail ID? If not, just give it a moment. It's refreshing at my end. It's taking some time. Okay, while it's taking some time, let's go to these tools. So let me share it. I don't know, at your end, are you able to get to it?
It says it's showing my workspace and showing welcome to your personal workspace.
Okay, okay, cool. So there in the workspace, okay, so you are able to get in. Just it's taking some time here, but yeah, that's when you take the URL and go to locate that field. I will show you in the screen.
Should I stop sharing?
No, it's okay. I was just trying to guide you through. There will be environments like this. My workspace, click on environments. You will see this text box where you can see new, import, like that.
Yes.
There paste the URL, what you had open weather map to get like this.
Open other map. Okay, cool. Paste the URL. On new?
In
Or
new, yeah,
new? Um, which one do I select first?
new environments and this URL. Navigate to workspaces, paste the URL to get.
After new, it gives me a pop-up to select.
Ah, mm,
Yeah.
you are sharing.
Yes.
Okay, out here, environment. Okay, web socket, and new. Is it allowing you to click on new? Yeah, that's there, but way on the top now, above globals. Click on new. Oh, it's coming back here. Click on, double click on the environment. But it's, yeah, you're already in the workspace. Mm,
And
Variable.
should I click on environment here? It says
Yeah,
define a new setup.
yeah, click, go to create environment. Yeah, that's on. So, yeah, give it a name. I think paste the URL here. Let's see. Paste the URL here, right where it is. Yeah, enter. No. It will automatically map. Where the get. Okay, in the you should get to a screen for get filter variable save for share. Is it? What is the overview? It's on the overview, right? Okay. Um, quite not, yeah, okay. So global's getting started. No environment save for. Click on overview. Is it on overview? Yeah, that's on. My workspace API demos. What is it in getting started? Just sorry.
Should I getting started?
No, no.
Okay.
Yeah, next to the overview. Try clicking send an API request here. That's the one. So paste next to the get, paste it. Yeah. Yeah, if you could just zoom up a bit, please. Yeah. Let me close this. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's all right. So yeah, it automatically mapped queue, app ID, all that. Click send. Yeah. There you go. You got the response back. Okay. So that's the weather for Sydney. Now to change here, yeah, pretty print and all that. And now go to click where Q and the value Sydney, it shows on the middle of the screen, no? Sydney there. Yeah, type in another New York there, remove Sydney and put space here. Yeah. Yeah, now click on send. There you go. You're already doing very well. Yeah. So this is how you test for different, yeah, name equal to New York below. Yeah. So that's a JSON and other formats are also there. I think that arrow next to JSON here, yeah, it will let other formats, XML and all. Okay. Now, all right. So this all to it. I mean, you can test and here go to the top where it reads get, no? The green get and the arrow next to it. Yeah, click on that arrow. Yeah. You have other methods here like post. That means you can, some API will let you add your data, right? So suppose you are trying to subscribe, you have to put your email address. So post is your write operation. Yeah, post is your write operation where you write data with this endpoint. Here in this case, however, we are doing. So the rest of the HTTP methods are here. Get and post are the common. Input, patch, delete, all that are also possible. So this listing is allowing you to do everything what the APIs do. Now, yeah, you can come out of this. So each workspace can have different APIs being tested. You chain the API right in the middle to go to another API. Okay. So there's nothing more to this. Okay. You can come out of, you can log out. Yeah, no problem. So that's pretty much Postman. Okay. Now, uh, the next one. So, however, Postman is the most developer used tool so far. Many other tools have evolved. Okay. So let's go to nocodeapi.com. So there are several such companies offering API testing. Okay. So one was Postman. Let's go to another one. And still other ones are there. Okay. So let me just code api.com. Yeah. So nocodeapi.com. Once you're there, Put it in the chat. So here, yeah, same approach. He's got several endpoints. No code. Try for free. Go in with the sign up with Google. You're seeing my screen, right? Yeah, or you can do it also at your end. Sign in. Already have an account. Sign in.
I don't see your screen.
Sorry. Okay. So with your Gmail ID, it is giving an authentication which lets you in now. Okay. That's what's happening now. So you don't have to create a login. Your existing Gmail login is sufficient to authenticate and let you into no code. In fact, that's a delegated authentication to Gmail. About was close, user finalizing the operation. Ta-da. Okay, so no code here gives you a default project. Okay, and there are some applications there by default: currency, exchange, Instagram. Okay, and there's a marketplace. I will tell you, okay, if we go to currency, you can do that fixer, same thing, no? The same approach. So their application is there. The moment you click, their endpoint is automatically there. So you don't have to copy, paste anything. Okay. And use this API. Okay, I'm okay. So I'll say use this API. And then it goes into the currency exchange API endpoints. And immediately all the list of endpoints are shown here. That means our get what we pasted here is the get API. It's all readily there. Okay. So if I click that, and it already did one API call also. And so what just happened, everything in one shot readily. It called this endpoint, it got the value back also. Okay. It got, it got, okay, you can click. Its code snippet is here, its response is here. This is API. JavaScript, its code is here. So this is how you would make a call, the Python code. Response, it's going away. It seems to be not loading properly for that API. So the parameters are shown here, the source and target. Okay, probably I did not pass the parameters correctly. Source, oh, get the rates, right? Oh, let's try another one. Okay, let's amount. So 1,000 or 100 from USD to INR or something like that. Okay. And clicked. Okay. So it did the test right away. So it took that parameters you see, amount is 100 from USD to INR. So then it got the response back. So the current rate is 83.89 from USD to the INR. So everything is readily there. And once you want, you tested, you found it convenient. So it's a testing platform. Okay, without any cut paste or everything is readily available. And then at the end, you're comfortable. You can take this code, copy this code based on several languages, JavaScript, Ruby, Python is here. You don't have to remember how to write the code. You copy this and paste it in your notebook. Okay. So is this clear?
Yeah.
This is just one API. To build applications, there are other APIs also. So there is a Instagram, they put it there. View marketplace will give you more. So the marketplace is here. So Google Sheets, okay. Any of these you can activate and use. Telegram, the open weather is here. We were struggling with doing something in Postman. Here he has got everything ready. Okay, to activate and use it. Time, YouTube, Spotify. Okay, cool. Spotify is also there. Twitter, GitHub, Shopify, so many Notion, WordPress. So several applications are there. Okay, Slack, Firebase, this one database, Stripe, if you're making payments. So readily you can test something and then the developer can pick the code from here and start building in. So that the basic thing is to test some message and test some applications. Twilio is an SMS sending application. Okay, that's a good one. Monday, Zoho Sheets, Facebook Pages. So many MongoDB, AI, Chat GPT, all that. Okay, so there is a marketplace, and some might be having free, and some others are subscribed. Let's try this. It's asking the API key. So API key, it's prompting, then you have to paste the keys. Okay. So it's an add-on approach. Currency is just one. Spotify, let's see. Create Spotify API. I don't see this letting me with Spotify so easily. So I just, oh, it just came out. Okay. So let me go over to a couple of other points. That was no code. Okay. So that's far more convenient. Now that's the second one we did was no code, right? Codeapi.com. There. Another one exists called APIlayer.com. Okay, this is also another one. Okay, APIlayer.com. Let's go there. So again, it's got several applications, endpoints, and all that, uh, categorized in various categories: currencies, food, geo, all this. Okay, so this is APIlayer.com. You can build your API and add it as well. So here, saying login, I'm just logging in with my Gmail. Okay, I got logged in. Okay, now, yeah, because I've been working with this for some thing, it knows. So add your API. Now, if I go here, um, account and the API key would be there. Okay, so first thing you look for is to generate your own key. Okay, API keys will be there, but I just logged in. And if you see all this, see here is categorization of the data. So there are still larger collection of applications in this. Okay, sports, social media, food. The idamam will be here. Even the currency is already here. Okay, so currency. So several of them. So latest 134 applications. So it's quite a large number of collections. So in currency, exchange rate. Okay. Vehicle number, temp mail, banks API. I use one for bank information. It's quite interesting, but it's slow for something here. Yeah. You can try at your end, apilayer.com. Okay. Put new images. It seems to take some time at my end. Fixer is here. Fixer, what we used, is here. Uh, it seems to be slow. We might have to see individually each application how they are. Bank. Well, are you able to get in, or what is it?
I'm at the page and
Hmm. Because it's pretty slow here. You can share.
okay.
Let me. There it came. Something. So your free plan is there monthly. Okay. But yeah, you don't need to choose any plan. You don't have to. So you have to see what the API is offering. So this is the detail. How to call it is all here. Okay. What will come back is here. Okay. Tax rate, combined LA tax rates, something like that. Okay, website user accept all. Now, um, yeah, it seems to come a little late for me, but uh, currency, I just try it once again. Fixer currency. Let's do that. Okay, so if you see here, Sriram, Fixer API, we used this earlier, no? So there is some key it is showing here. It's a live demo. Okay, so here all the endpoints, how it will look, documentation is pretty clear. Okay, and what the currencies which we looped through, you remember? Yeah, and this is the details on the endpoint. Okay, here symbols, all the currencies, converting any data like that. And the good part is here, he says live demo. Click on live demo. It is taking you to a screen to test. Okay, here are the endpoints which has come here and several code base here. So in JavaScript, Python, Java, and all, how to call the script you can copy. But base currency symbol. So here I would say, sorry, here is base currency. Instead of EUR, I'll take USD and symbols. So I can do GBP. Sorry, the defaults I accept. Okay, so that means GBP, JPY, EUR for all three symbols to the base currency. Okay, and so once this blue bar is here on the latest, these are our input parameters and all that. And you have to just see that this code is automatically adjusted to this inputs here. See, this is USD, so it became USD. And that's the code for it. Okay, now I click run code. There it worked. Okay, so it neatly gave my output back. Do you see this? Uh, but if I want, it gave all the currencies, okay, in the output, GBP, JPY, GBP, JPY, EUR. So I can choose some values and then run code. There, it will give all four values for that. Okay, so is this clear? 1 USD is 0.9 euro, 83.89 INR. Okay, Japan, it's 146. So then you copy the code and I mean, this output data, this code you can copy. So I didn't have to write any code, readily available. Okay. So here there are several endpoints. I just showed Fixer has few, all these endpoints. So you can switch the applications like that. Okay, I close it, it comes out. So there's a live demo out of it, and other documentation is already there inside about each one. So pretty nice. Okay. Uh, Come back to the marketplace. You can switch to uh, we did music, right? Finance, dev to banks, images. I think you can search here. Spotify. Okay, Spotify is. I think they took it off. Or food, yeah, let's one food for edamame, I think. No, spoonacular. Okay, you can explore the rest. Okay. Uh, edamame was. Okay, I go to edamame because other day recipe search. Okay, edamame recipe search, and here is this website is the next one, edamame. It's got products like nutritional food database, recipe search, and so on. Okay, and we go to recipe search. Yeah, the developer license. So similarly, you have to sign up here, but login is free and all that. So I just show you get started. Cloudflare submit login. Um, create an account. I did have an account there, but it will let you test this. Hold on. Nutritional wizard. Cookie policy. What does it say? Recipe search. Try API demo. Okay. So here is an API demo where you search for, okay, this is a demo, okay. So banana, search for banana like that. And what returns is so much of information. Like you can now tell from food database, it shows images of banana and like a scroll bar, uh, a carousel. This is called a carousel display. So several recipes can come out. Okay, it's like that. And here below, each recipe, right? What is the content, ingredients, total calorie, protein, so the sodium, potassium. It's got a pretty good collection of information, which you can use this sort of a call to build your own search application. So if I just change it to, let's say, uh, peaches, peach, yeah, it's all about perfect peach recipe, peach, this peach recipes. Okay, so this is a recipe search, and uh, so much of information is available here. Okay, so of course, a login would get you the API key, and same approach. Okay. So you can build applications, and that's this particular one. Okay. This was built with a React technology, but basically it's a web page where the text box is here and the search is here, and these are called cards. Okay, so the data which came back, we are just displaying in form of a recipe name, the ingredients, the calorie, and the image. Like, so gluten-free banana pancakes, banana smoothie, like that. Okay, so that's the recipe search API in the background. Okay, are you getting some idea about how APIs work and some of the tools here so far?
Yes.
How we'll just take it further and close. Okay, these are some additional information. Do you have the time, right?
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Okay. Uh, okay. So this is another application actually. Uh, Well, it's called Odoo, and it's an ERP system. It's open ERP, and to in an ERP you have things like orders, employees, um, items, so on, inventory items, and so on. Okay, several other things. So everything is one module. Here is invoicing. It's got several modules. Enterprise level application. So that application also is an API. So when you log in as administrator, you go to preferences. Um, it's got the way to generate the developer key, and the key will be shown here. Okay. So to generate the key, you go in. Once you generate the key, here is some sample code. This is a ERP system, but it's built on Python technology, Python framework, and they call it Odoo framework. Okay, so you will see the code is Python based. So import, you know what something is a package and a module. So that's XML RPC client, and server proxy to start. It's given some URL and say start. What happens here is it returns info as a dictionary, which can give you values of host, the database, username, password. This is the comma separated variables. These are the comma separated dictionary values. So each variable in assigns to its order. Okay. So URL is this going to take this value. DB is going to take this database value like so. So it's a call, and then it's coming back common dot authenticate. It's a remote procedure call, and if you authenticate, uh, user ID is received here, and then model is our class. Model is our class for a certain object. Here, the code here is model. We'll come to model. Don't Model is your like the class what you created, employee or person class, right? Vehicle class. So that's internally called model. So model dot execute keyword args. So basically, model dot execute will execute these values, and rest dot partner is one of the model. And these are some settings. Okay. So when it executes, it will call this execute method to fetch data. Okay, fetch data where the partner is a company. It will fetch all the company's information. Uh, so these are some sample codes, and number of records being fetched is like length of the record and so. So here are a few more examples, but this is enterprise data. this like suppliers, customers, and so on. Okay. Fetching fields like this in code, country ID equal to how many, limit up to 5 countries. So we're doing some code like that. So here is a meaningful example. Sales orders can say http://request.env sales.order. So sales.order is sale is a module, is a sales module. Dot order is your object, like person. Okay, so order, this is a sales order. And this is some standard method in which you will access inside object http request env sale order. So all sales order will be fetched because we are not given a sale criteria, and sales orders tag for sales in sales order, we're creating a list. We'll come to HTML, but just we'll create an output of all the orders. Okay, just small code fragment to understand how we write code to fetch orders. Okay, these are H1, LI, UI, UL. These are list tags to create an unordered list. Okay, and these are list items. Okay. Now, additional information on integration architecture. We're going little bit enterprise level. I hope it's not too much for you. Are you comfortable so far? Can we move forward?
Yes.
Yeah. This, what I'm going to show you, will talk about various enterprise architectures. So there are concepts like point to point, okay, hub and spoke, okay, enterprise bus. So point to point means one application is connected to the other application, and there is no other applications in scope. Like in my previous example, I told students school applications connected to a healthcare, public healthcare system. So these two one-to-one applications. So that's a point-to-point architecture. Hub and spoke, it will be like at the center one application will be there. Few other applications like the wheel and the spoke of a hub and a wheel, right? Hub is in the center and the spokes of the wheel are away from it. Similarly, we have the same concept here. At the center will be one application, several other applications will be taking data. And this is enterprise bus that will come to. Now, accounting hub. Accounting hub, meaning a hub is at the center. This could be used for a bank. Okay. Financial accounting hub. Okay. And so all the financial accounting rules are all put there. And so, but the bank system has loan management system, asset management, deposits, treasury, all this as spoke application. This is the ends of the spoke. So they are connected to this hub. And from this hub, you'll have reports coming out. Okay, single enterprise-wide accounting solutions. All the rules here, and these systems can send various accounting information, which will the transaction of a deposit, the transaction of a loan. That transaction comes, the rules are here, the accounts will be generated here. So it will be stored here in the center. So central accounting rules, it's an accounting integration platform. This is a similar approach. This is the same product implemented for a bank. It is a bank in Vietnam. Okay, so the same accounting hub, the Oriental Commerce Bank. So there are other bank systems, source systems like loans and deposits, the gold purchase, financial transactions from another T24 is another banking system, Temenos 24. So all these transactions, the banking transactions like loans, deposits and all that will have a financial implication. It is coming in to this accounting hub where rules are set data is coming loaded into it, and then the accounting rules set will generate and create the accounting and put it to the ERP system. And from there, the reports are taken. Okay. Event-based account generation. As soon as a deposit happens, the event is received and the rules here generate the accounts. Accounts will have credit debit entries. Okay. Now, sorry. That is one sort of an architecture where we saw hub and spoke. Okay, hub and spoke. This is hub and various spoke applications. Here is another one called enterprise bus. That means this is Odoo and the ERP system. At the middle is like a bus. Okay, what is there in a bus? In a bus, there are several passengers seated. All these passengers go in and they take the position and the bus moves. So it is same application architecture here. Inventory connects to this central bus. So several applications are connected in a bus. Okay. So this is a warehouse system, and this is an inventory system. This is accounting system. So items from inventory come to here. The on-hand quantities go back. Accounting, the invoices and journals. So this is a sales system. Customers are, it takes customers, uploads here, sales orders going synchronized between them. So purchasing system, suppliers are onboarded here, orders and receipts go that way. So this is a integrated system. Okay, all together work as a single, and various parts are doing their role. Like here is inventory, here is purchasing, here is sales and account. So this is a bus architecture. It's called enterprise service bus, enterprise or enterprise bus. So these are some integration architectures: point to point, hub and spoke, enterprise bus. Okay, this is how the ERPs are implemented. Okay, banks, warehouses, like now yeah, that's for the architecture. There are some tools in the market for extracting, transforming, and loading. These are called ETL tools. ETL tools for extract, transform, and load. This is completely called a third-party system called Clover. Clover is now on cloud also. Clover ETL. The term ETL is very popular because you're moving data from one system to another in bulk. Okay, so the tools user interface is seen here. You have various endpoints like this. It could be fetching order data, products data, and then it comes in, merges something, it joins here, and then loads queries, and then writes to the other system at the other end. So this sort of tool has a graphical interface called ETL graphs. So the visually you can see which, okay, the products are coming here, things are like that. Customer information, the order information, how it is. And you have a navigator to store this whole graph. So this is a data load graph for extracting data from different systems, transforming it. You might merge, you might split data, all that. And then there is some bulk load components. Can drag and drop and visually build this tool. This is called Clover ETL. See here, orders sorted, customers coming in, merge, join, orders, customer, write it to something. Visually, you can design the graph. And this has other solutions for UAE VAT filing. Some custom developed application for taxes filing. Okay, so that's pretty much our second topic, REST API. We saw what is a REST API. We saw um, various earlier technologies which originated, like SOAP. What is REST API? REST is representational state transfer, and it follows REST principles. Okay, state means data. Okay, and a couple of other things which we went into were the API, how the API is structured, the URL is structured with a question mark. Then we saw Q equal to Sydney, and then an ampersand. API key is something. So the parameters of the API are at the end after the question mark. And you use tools like Postman, no code API, API layer to test these APIs. We saw some of these testing tools. And then we looked at some of the integration architectures uh, with like point-to-point, hub, and enterprise bus. Okay, and we have come to the end of this API, REST API session. Okay, now Sriram, you have a quiz at the end of the um, in the portal Skillanything, there are quiz. Okay, you can take the quiz at your end. Okay, so that's also something which I would suggest. So in tomorrow's session, we will look at introduction to application development frameworks. Yeah, so far, so good, Sriram. Is that
Yeah, so far it's fine, it's straight.
okay? Okay, thank you then. Okay, you take care. Have a good rest of the day. Yeah, we'll
Have a
wrap
good day.
it up here. Okay, good day. Bye. Bye.